Okay,
Greetings. Looks like
I
we're up
think
there.
it's I what?
It looks like we're going okay.
Yes. Okay. So
I'll
I
welcome everybody. Ethan Indigo Smith here. Um, I've been doing this little thing, Peter. You can find it entertaining, hopefully. Uh, I'm with a fellow philosopher stoned. This is the Philosopher Stoned. Here we discuss all things, all subjects, esoteric and exoteric. We get into the metaphysical and the political, and we leave no stone unturned. So I got a fellow philosopher stoned here, Peter Van Els from the great nation of Netherlands. And Peter just finished his first book, um, which hopefully we're going to get into English at some point. Um, and I mentioned the other day how impressive and how hopeful one has to be to write a book, right? And so, Peter, I really appreciate your compassion and your hopefulness in writing your book. And why don't you please just let everyone know what's going on and who you are and what you're about?
Okay. Thank you, Ethan, for a nice introduction. Indeed, I wrote a book, but first of all, I want to say everyone and to the listeners and to you, special, my friend Ethan, a happy, healthy 2026. And I want to say also peace in the world, but the actuality give a different view. But let love rule. Let's start with that. And it's crazy the life. So I you want to hear about my book? It's about 51 years smoking. I went I went away smoking marijuana and hash, and I went away from home when I was 17. I lived a long time in 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 uh, in a drugs scene. I did some wrong things. I experienced a lot of drugs, and I organized also in the 90s festivals, free concerts, and in 2015 I started to write articles, and then we meet also each other. So we know each other almost for 10 years now. And I started to write because Trump was on the horizon. And in my opinion, it's a very dangerous man, and it's a psych, psych how do you say it? A narcissist and a psychopath leader. So
Psychopath.
it's a danger for everyone. And a year later, I started a blog, and I wrote a lot of articles, and I have now almost around 300,000 visitors in my blog. It's called the White Rose Evolution. And after that, I finished this kind of writing because everything is saying, and I didn't want to repeat myself. And then I think I'm gonna start a book. I tried to write an autobiography. Uh, First of all, I want to say I'm sorry, but my English is not the best. And
It's
so
great.
I hope
You're
you
doing great.
understand.
You're doing great. You're very clear, and you're communicating uh, very clearly.
Yeah, but that word, how do you say it? Psy,
Psychopath.
psychopath. Yeah, sorry.
No, no, it's
Okay, it's sometimes difficult.
hardly a big deal. Hardly a big deal. Narcissist is a horrible word to pronounce, and psychopath I could see being difficult too. I appreciate you sharing with us through English, and your English is just fine.
So yeah, okay, thank you, Ethan. Um, what I want to say more about my book. So I tried to start a book, and I wrote it on 15 years. First, a diary, and it was very difficult, but it was very interesting because I learned a lot of myself, and I worked always. I'm autodidact, so I didn't study or nothing, but I'm always involved with the world. You can say I'm a kind of activist, and I am happy that we are living in a democracy. And I wanted to write a book about those things and about spirituality, because
Spirituality.
there's too less spirituality in this world. We don't have the time to look inside, and yeah, I was also hard for myself, to myself, because I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. But when you look inside, you can learn a little bit about yourself. And yeah, 51 years of smoking, and try to be myself, to live my life. My one of my points is live and let live. So when I'm not wrongdoing against humanity, let my life live the way I want to live. I have respect for everyone. So, but I talk too much
Not at all.
sometimes.
No, that's great. And this is a very, I, we originally connected through Wake Up World, right? We were both writing for this now defunct, non-operational website out of Australia that was huge uh, at the time, and mainly on social media. It was big, and right before the pandemic hit, it it was erased from social media, and several other websites were eliminated from social media. Um, so it's just an interesting story of how things are quieted in a democracy that we both live in democratic societies, but yet still, and Australia is a democratic society, but still, it seems to me, especially on retrospect, that there was this kind of a elimination of information access. There wasn't the illegal destruction of information, but there was elimination of information access. And so, yeah, props to you for being a writer, and thank you for supporting me and being my friend as a writer. And I always appreciate hearing your perspective. Being isolated in the United States, so to speak, it's great to hear perspective of someone from Europe who is got got some wisdom, but who is also uh, very much like what you just said, the live and let live idea. Although it may not have originated in the United States, it's a very much United States idea. Well, the former United States in idea, not the current collectivist United States that we have. So always appreciate your insight. Um, so what have you I've been suggesting to you to do an article or make some kind of little cutout snippet of your book to share it around. I hope you do that. And can you tell everybody, like, what, or me, what have you been doing on your promotional tour? I saw you doing a lot of media activities.
Yeah, that was to promote my book. And now, yeah, it's an on-demand book, and it would be nice when it was also in English, because I think California would like the book about legalized marijuana because it's a good thing, I think. Not everything, because it can destroy also social, and with my family example, or with my daughters. So, but for me, it was also a good medicine. I don't take antidepressiva because I don't need that, and I can function in the world, and I can try to do good things in the world. So I'm not a parasite, or what you called. So there are also good things of smoking marijuana, and a lot of good writers, and song producers, they they drink or smoke or take other drugs, and were have the best creations. So I'm for legalize marijuana. I think you are. So in America and California, it's good that it's now legal, and that's why it's maybe also a nice book, a modern Jack Kerouac, on the road. But
Very
it's,
cool.
yeah. So I hope maybe in future it, but I didn't sell a lot of books, Ethan, because I'm not well known.
Well,
So
I of course empathize with that. I understand what it's like to not sell a lot of books.
yeah,
um,
friend.
selling books is difficult. I met a woman who's now still a friend of mine, and she was into marketing. And when I met her, she didn't know that I was a writer, but I met her and she says, oh, I asked her, what did she do, what does she do, and she said, oh, I'm in marketing, and if you need anything for me to advise you on selling, I absolutely can help, except for books. And that was just something that she said to a lot of people. She didn't know that I was a writer, but writing is difficult in and of itself. Selling writing is a whole other level of difficulty. um, so eh, props to you. This is not atypical. It's not easy to sell books. When we were writing for Wake Up World, or back in the day before it got uh, eliminated from the analytics of social media, I would sell many more books because of the reach that I had with them. So it's really not a matter of what your book is about, the quality of your writing is. It's really letting the world know that it's available. It's not easy. It's very difficult to share ideas. Orwell said, "You have to be hopeful to be a writer." He also said, "You have to be the tiniest little bit of narcissistic to write." And I think he was making a little self-depreciation humor, right? Him being a great writer, um, and so it's not easy. It's not easy. Just just understand that that's not atypical.
I
Um,
have a nice story about it. But you talk about why Wake Up World. It still exists, I think.
well,
Oh
it's
no,
still online, yes, but from what I understand, everyone has moved on. They're not publishing new material.
I want to talk about that writing stuff. We had in the past also. I talked with a friend, a Dutch writer. You had a contact with him. He called Joris, and he's a very good writer, but he can't publish also, and he started with a pseudonym. And he was like a young Moroccan girl. Under that pseudonym, he wrote a book, and he sent it to publishers, and a lot of people wanted to publish, and then he must sign the contract, and he came there as a man, and not as a beautiful young American woman, modern American. So now he is a persona non grata in Netherlands. So it's not about the book itself, but it's about, can you sell your book? It's about,
Oh, absolutely.
do you look good? So can you talk about it on the television well? So it's, you must presentate
Publishers
yourself.
today, publishers today are certainly looking at material secondarily, if not tertiary, to your social media presence. Your social media presence will tell them if you're going to be a successful author, not your writing, right? How many followers do you have, your interaction, and so forth. I wanted to mention in regards to our wonderful friend Mary Jane. For years, I now marijuana is long tolerated and or legal in the United States, but for years I was taught that hemp was prohibited because of marijuana. But as I've come to research the political influence of the world, it's obvious to me that marijuana was made illegal because of hemp. Hemp is an industrial powerhouse. Hemp can basically supply us with any and everything. If hemp were legal, we would have public service announcements reminding us to litter, to leave our litter in the ground, for that it would tonify and bring nutrients to the soil instead of polluting our soil and water supply. If we had hemp legal, the world would be entirely different. Today, in the United States and probably everywhere, you could maybe break down what's going on in Europe and Netherlands specifically. Today in the United States, and maybe constantly, but it's a big subject matter right now, that the affordability of resources, how to get people the things from food, clothing, and shelter, the basics, on up to the more complicated resources. And the Republicans, if you will, have one set of solutions, and the Democrats, if you will, have another set of solutions. Neither of them are actually applying ways to increase resources. They're Both sides are essentially trying to finagle the game in one way or another. Uh, and the way to increase resources is to, well, either traditionally, if we have morals, it would be to grow and create resources. If we're in a oligarchical collectivist state, then we do things like what Russia is doing vis-a-vis Ukraine: steal resources. So,
Like Trump
but if
now did by Venezuela.
and potentially what is happening vis-a-vis the United States and Venezuela, for sure. Because well, it's interesting. Did you hear that they took Maduro?
Yes, yes. It's all
Yeah.
about oil.
So
It's all about oil.
sure,
Uh,
sure.
uh, and what I wanted to say about marijuana, it's um, they didn't want to legalize it because we are free thinkers. They can control us because we are have our own opinion and we think of ourselves and we try to grow inside. When you smoke, you are also more connected with nature and with spirituality. So they don't have a grip on us. So that's why also a reason that it is not legal. And about politics, I think in America there are only two parties, and that is not a democracy. You need more. You need more parties, and also more direct involved by people, like like important referendums, and like citizens talks, the collective, what everyone wants to about climate or about peace and war and direct involved.
Well,
It's
some sadly, only a very few states allow public direct referendums. California is one of them, and that is why all these new laws begin in California, some going left, some going right, even because people can get together and get enough signatures. I think it's 500,000 and some other requirements, something like this, and then it gets to be voted on statewide. Most states do not have referendums, sadly. That is a really effective political tool. There are other ways, though, for individuals really to express serious political power. Again, some states much more restrictive than others, but there are ways to really start the engagement of a law, right? That start towards some process to enact a law in a state.
California was always a progressive state, and it was an example of democracy and freedom. But
And
now
it's because of the referendum law. I'm sorry to cut you off.
it doesn't matter. And now you have Citizen Valley, and it was very progressive, but now it's very conservative because it's all about money.
Well,
The Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, all of these guys were sitting at the table of Trump.
yeah, there's a
So
whole South African contingent that are in the budding technocracy, uh, and Peter Thiel among them. Apparently, I think Thiel just took his headquarters to Florida because of tax reasons. I just heard recently. Um, there has always been in California some severe right wing institutions and right wing aspects, despite the left wing progressivism that it's known for. For instance, some of the police forces are notoriously hippie beat you down type of crew. Much better now, but we saw some of this come out being historically repeated in the Occupy Wall Street movements. There's some very repressive police actions in California, and also with along with the right wing institutions that have been here since after World War II, there are the uh, military industrial complex of the Bay Area, i.e., Silicon Valley is long standing, and again, it used to be more government, and now it's more private, but it's really, they just changed the name on the door.
Mhm. I wrote something down about what we can talk about. And I want to talk, if you agree, about democracy a little bit. Uh, um, in a democracy, freedom of expression is a common good, just like fundamental rights. Today in America and in Europe, it is growing. Freedom only exists when you share the same opinion. Other opinions are lies, fake news, and a witch hunt. What kind of democracy is that, Ethan? And right conservative nationalism use the same methodology and rhetoric. So we must ask ourselves, have we in the future still a democracy? And I agree, democracy is not the best system, but it's a system, it's better than other systems.
And it may be the best in that it allows for improvement or refinement or change, right? Because other modalities do not allow, like, what is a referendum in other countries? Like, what are you even talking about? And voting and all these other things that we can do, including running for office ourselves. Um, so it is worth criticism, but it's the one form that we can criticize and can change.
Still,
um,
still, but
when I was I think that, to your rhetorical question, if you think education is expensive, imagine a country without education, and that is where we are today. Idiocracy, you might say, but it's the level of comprehension is so low, let alone the level of historical and civic understanding is so low, and it leads people essentially off a cliff. Because people don't understand. I think a big factor in politics is the lowest common denominator. Like, if you let the lowest common denominator have their rights stomped out, that who's next? And it really, the whatever we will tolerate, the institutions will essentially do. So, like, what is the expression? You can judge a nation by how it treats its women, or you can judge a nation by how it treats its minorities, or something like this. Also, and that's it. And so the the idea that people in the United States are cheering some really hostile activities that are stomping on people's rights, that are the lowest, that have the least power, is really striking to a significant change in my mind. Maybe it's happened over time and gone slowly, but suddenly it seems that we're here, that prejudice is tolerated and also sometimes esteemed, and that cheering for the weak to be beat and taken advantage of in cruel and unusual manners is also cheered for, is really striking. The United States, I feel like, generally used to be like, take on the bully, not be the bully.
Yeah, you can say now against Maduro that he beat the bully, but he's also a
Well,
bully.
two
So
bullies. It's two bullies.
What?
Sorry, it's just two bullies there. One
Yeah,
one
yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
they,
yeah,
they
yeah. I agree. I agree. Uh,
but it doesn't
but
make it doesn't excuse, even no matter how bad Maduro is, it doesn't excuse the crossing of the lines that is engaging in war, kidnapping a head of state, and let alone all the boats that we have the Coast Guard, we have laws in the country. We don't just murder smugglers with missiles. We,
it's
in theory and idea, apparently we do. Apparently we are just like Russia, or Nazi Germany. But in ideal, there are laws in the United States that are supposed to steer us from being so low.
but now the Republicans, they have all the power. And what I think about Venezuela, the attack, it's imperial imperial behavior.
Imperialistic, yeah, imperial
Yeah,
behavior. Yep, yep.
and it is terrible, disgusting, and it's all about oil and a dictator deposed by another potential dictator. Lawless is it, without a law, and it looks like what Trump always talk about, elite, the new world order. It looks like it reveals itself now. I think
Right.
they want to stop democracy because they also attack Europe. It's still but democracy. It's economic democracy. It's all about economic, all about capitalism. But still, we have a little bit democracy here in Europe, and they attack it also from two sides, from America and from Russia, and they want to stop that, and they want to have new or new power with a few other countries, and still the military power of America is by far the biggest in the world, and Trump is the bully of the schoolyard and behave himself like the bully of the schoolyard. But when we are together, we're really together and not divide and conquered, but togetherness, we can stop this craziness, this madness, and not with a revolution, but with an evolution. We need wise people with love and how do you say it? Bescheidenheid. Wait a minute. No, it doesn't matter. I try to find
No,
it, but
no, find it, find it. I want to know.
moment, I must look it. Um, bescheidenheid. Oh, wacht. Bescheidenheid. Modesty.
Ah, yes, such a rarity, and very much not in the present governmental system. And I think in part many have lost it because of social media. In part, at least, right?
Also about that we are more selfish. Margaret Thatcher told in the 80s, there is no government, there is no society, there's only individualism. And I think even a billionaire can't live alone. We are one big family, so we need a society. But now they think you can buy everything, and selfishness and greed, and I'm sorry, but uh, people only think about themselves, and it's not a good. I think.
And I agree with you. And then alternatively, in more collectivist state, they don't even think about themselves. They will literally throw themselves into the fray for the fatherland, for something that they're convinced of, but it is uh, some kind of fight, like what's happening in Ukraine. The Russians are fighting for the richest man on the planet, most likely is probably Putin. Maybe it's Elon, but Putin is a close second, if not the richest man on the planet. For he's been ruling a nation for decades now, and taking money from everything. Um, and the level of commitment to die for that institution when it's really just being again run by the richest man on the planet is a level of collectivism that really foregoes their whole individual pursuit, right? So on one side of the spectrum you have individualism to the extreme selfishness and immodest humanity, and then on the other side of the spectrum you have collectivism to where they never really even considered themselves and dying for the nation. Apparently some of the um, hardest fighters the Ukrainians have come across were some of the North Koreans that were sent there, and they're just entirely committed to the collectivist pursuit, right? So it's either one of those, the individualism extreme or the collectivism extreme, is a really bad place to be. So finding balance, again, difficult but essential.
Individualism is important. I agree, but collectivism, that is also because they are manipulated. They have not
That's what I
free
mean.
free
Yeah.
free media. When you can look to the Russian propaganda machine, uh, so they are manipulated completely, and they try to do also with us, because the other is always guilty, and their words are secret and holy and the true. But that's the problem. We can't. We live from the beginning in lies, and in lies we don't find the true. So it's very. Can I also because I'm trying to write a new book, Ethan.
Oh, great. Cool.
And it's about
You heard it
psych.
here first.
What?
You heard it. I said to the listeners, you heard it here first. Peter is writing a new book.
It's about a psychotic leader. That word, fucking.
Psycho Psychopathic.
Psychopathic leader. I
There's
tried.
also there's a couple other words that might help. There's empathic and sympathetic, and so they're similar, I guess. Um,
Yes,
Psychopathic. The
psychopath.
Yeah, psychopathic. It's not as difficult as some of the other words you know well. So you got it.
Okay. Thank you very much for your wise uh, answer. Um, I want to talk about some exhibits of that kind of person. We know a lot about criminal psych, psych, yeah, criminals who have that behavior, but we don't know about the leadership of those, because those are more controlled in her emotions and have high intelligence, and
And this is something you've been actually studying and researching quite a while, huh, Peter?
Yeah, yeah,
The
because
psychopathy of the leaders.
it
You've
is
written
very
articles about it.
important, very,
Yeah,
very important. I
so
think
people
it's
know.
one of the reasons why the world is crazy now. Uh, um, because there are
You know, it's
too many
interesting.
people.
I wanted to say real quick. It's interesting with the worldwide craziness right now and the oligarchical cooperation among the leaders, especially Trump, Putin, and Z. It's almost like 1984 is forming. In 1984, there's three nation states of the world. Everyone's under them. There's Oceana, there's Eurasia, and there's Eastasia. And it's almost like we're seeing that form right now. And again, it's a psychopathy of these leaders that are leading us into this potential. Sorry to interrupt, Peter. Very, very
Doesn't matter.
important subject.
It's very good what you're telling about it. So I just tell what it means. Immoral behavior is narcissistic, loyal to himself, lacks conscience and empathy, and has a great desire to control his environment. Characteristic of psychopath of and narcissistic personalities are extremely ambition, obsessed with increasing power and demanding admiration. They are convinced that they are entitled to privilege and extra benefits. They surround themselves with people they can dominate. Brilliant of manipulation, charming and charismatic, they ruthlessly humiliate others, lying, intimidation, verbally attacking, feigning empathy and concern. Now, these are the exhibits of that kind of person, and I'm not studying for this, but I did a lot of research, and I see also in management, in the business, by the banks, in politics, and now it's a world concern. I don't know how to stop this. Only to wake up people. I try. So I think I said enough about this, and you can even fill in who are those people, which are those people. I think you went the Netanyahu also Putin, but
Yeah, sure, sure.
we have also here in the Netherlands a few persons. They are, and they love power,
Hmm.
and they only want more power.
Well, and Orwell nailed that narrative in his book. In his fiction book, it's the narrative, but in the real world, it is the narrative. The reason for the pursuit of power is power itself. They just want power. There's no other. There's no sense to it. It's pure madness. You know, in the
You
United States, you mentioned that we have a two-party political system, and people will often refer to it as the left and the right. But really, is there a left in the United States?
Mm.
Because the United States, whether they are Democrats or Republicans, the mainstream politicians, they all support war. You mentioned Netanyahu of Israel. I mean, if you support Israel, you support war. And most of the United States government representatives absolutely support that. um, and the rest of the other monotheistic nations in the area are also warlike. I don't mean to single Netanyahu out, although he is extra diabolical. Uh, so we really only have the right and the less right in the
Yeah,
United States. So
and
what is the political? Can you share what's the political situation in the Netherlands? You've mentioned before that you have several Trump wannabes going around.
yes, okay. But first of all, I wanted to tell about that power is addicted. It's the most addicted drug in the world. And also most dangerous. I smoke, but I don't want more power, you know. And now
Right.
about
That makes sense to me.
the Netherlands. The Netherlands, the government is falling twice now again. So we have a demissionaire government, and now we have again election. We had again elections, but it's like a yo-yo. And in the Netherlands, there is also right conservative national feelings. And there's not so much tolerance anymore. We were very progressive, and open-minded, and but that's gone. Uh, um, so it's
I'm left to wonder, as I consider the intuitive nature of our minds, I'm left to wonder if we're not acting on some unconscious fears of what might be in our future. Because this has kind of been a sense of things that a lot of people have expressed to me, that the culture of the civilization is on the verge of collapse at any moment, and everyone's just waiting for it. And what if this intuition and fear is part of the reason why widely people are leaning towards more right wing duntadunts that they think might help us, because we need someone strong. Not that not I mean that's the inclination that people have for these leaders, is because they're tough, but not that Trump is tough. I mean, you're telling me a Fifth Madison Avenue, uh, grew up with a golden toilet is tough? So I don't mean to say that they are tough. I'm saying that people think that they're tough, right? And so I wonder if that inclination and unconscious intuitive fear of what's coming up might be part of the reason why people are supporting these types. I know it's an abstract question, but
yeah, America has the biggest weapon industry, so that's why he can play a tough boy. But when he was live in the Netherlands, you can't. We are a small country, so it's he has the biggest weapons by far, by far. When you look at the graphics, you have America, and then so yeah, we must. We can't do anything about it. Only America can do about it. And when it is
well,
going,
I think we can always do something. I think, but the problem is so great that we tend to feel overwhelmed that we can't do anything. And
that's
you
also
know, I think we can always focus on very simple changes that can have powerful ripples. In other words, all the problems of the world that are so extreme and grand in their mass really can be taken on by little people by way of consciousness, right? Because all these problems are really from fear and base thinking and uh, really untaken lessons in consciousness and spirituality, that if they were more ascended, if you will, there'd be really less of this strife, right? So I think that's the way that we can empower change or inspire change, is to refine and expand consciousness, because we can't do anything about it in their terms, right? In terms of weaponry, no, we cannot do anything about it. In terms of media, it's actually hard to do something about it with that, because they'll change the algorithm. So, but in terms of just being a higher conscious individual and letting other people around you know that, and it kind of working off the 100 monkey effect or the collective field, morphic resonance, it really, that's the way people are going to make a change, I think, as woo as that may sound, right?
Um, I have that three things about it. That's why it's important for education. Eh? The other thing is about what Buddhism said a long time ago. The world is on fire because there is ignorance and indifference, and also stupidness. And what about that other thing? No, that I forget. Um, Sorry.
That's a great lesson. That's like the three maras, the three um, temptations that visit Buddha. Fear, ignorance, indifference, as you pointed out. It might be termed different things in different stories, but these set of three, or it may not be even three, but things overcoming ourselves is really what that lesson is too, right? It's not, the temptations were not outside of him; they were within him, and they were his fear and ignorance mainly, right?
Yes, that you then I think always about also about the black wolf and the white wolf. I think you know that story, but now I remember also about what I wanted to tell. You know Steve Bannon, and Steve Bannon told every time throw a lot of red meat in the arena, every time bomb, 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 and we can't react on a normal way, because what is happening today is tomorrow old history, and there's a new thing, and that's why he do this also.
Yeah, it's like
Because
he,
we, we,
he
we,
it's
we forget the Epstein files now, example.
right,
We
right.
talk now.
It's a great point, and it's a wicked strategy, and it's very, they call it the fresh meat, but it's like, if I throw some manure in your living room, there's going to be a problem. And then, but if I keep throwing manure into the living room, like, you can't keep track of it, right? Like, it just becomes like so untamable. It's you can't even begin to
Sorry,
see that it's a living room anymore. So
sorry.
yeah, that's all right. It's a awful technique. The three temptations of Mara. It reminds me too of the three ruffians of the Freemasonry ritual, where you have to overcome the ignorance, fear, and tradition, essentially. But again, these could be looked at differently, but very, very similar set of three to overcome.
Okay.
So yeah, what's next? What when are you going to start working on your next book? And or you have any articles you're working on? Or
No, no, I don't write articles anymore. I have now almost 90 pages already, but it's
cool,
difficult. It's step by step, and inspiration is not always good. And
sure.
yeah, I have a low profile. I'm like a nomad. Uh, so I
Mhm.
don't do so much anymore.
Yep, that's okay. That's okay.
I
Do what we can. I find again writing is difficult, let alone the difficulty of sharing writing, and even beyond that, selling writing is a difficult endeavor. But just writing, it really requires a settled emotional, mental, and physical state and spiritual state. And you may need your coffee, you may need your doobie. Like there's certain requirements that have to go down to really take on writing project. So I I I salute all who write. It's a deep endeavor. I don't know that people really understand how difficult it can be. Uh, so yeah, props to you. And you mentioned earlier the process of writing is difficult on top of that because especially when you've written what you wrote, a personal story, you learn all kinds of stuff about yourself as you're writing, right? You're learning and remembering and considering and reconsidering. And you mentioned, oh, well, I'm a flawed individual, I messed up several times. Well, yeah, we all did. That is about the most modest and honest lesson. Like, there's the esoteric lesson of know thyself, and it should really pertain underline that should be honest with yourself, not just with others, but with yourself. Recognize how you are, and then and only then can we endeavor to improve, right? So I think
Yes,
people are not even honest with themselves nowadays, which is
and then you
like
can't
it.
get, then you can't reach wisdom. And I think it's
No,
important. We are here to grow a little bit in wisdom and spirituality. Maybe I must put this light out and have another light because I think it's my. Can you wait a minute?
yep, yep, yeah. So know thyself is really be honest with thyself. Um, in that way, we can really make endeavors to change.
And knowing that you don't know anything is the first step of wisdom.
Exactly the same. Those are parallel streets right there. Very well said.
So this is also not good. I make another more someone more light. Sorry.
Well, we've been going an hour anyway, Stephen. Peter, we don't have to keep going too long.
No, I agree. I agree.
This
So
is about
it was good. So
great,
yeah,
great discussion. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. I appreciate your mind and I appreciate your compassion for the world and the problems of the world. And there is really only so much we can do to counter the situation as it is today. And you're doing it right. You always been in that direction ever since I known you, and I appreciate you. So tell
And
everyone, let everyone know. Are you still? I need to make a post or two also, but people can find you on Facebook, and also you got the Stop the Selfishness of Greed Facebook page, and tell everyone where they can find your blog and stuff.
yeah, my blog is White Rose Evolution, but I don't write so much anymore. But still, I have every month almost around 1,500 visitors. So I don't know where they come, but I have still a lot of visitors, and I'm sometimes active on Facebook. But I don't want to be so much on social media anymore because the style it is very a lot of hard talk. So not the social media, but more asocial media. So I don't like it anymore so much, and also every day hearing about the terrible things in the world. I'm happy to try to write a new book. So
Well, maybe
it's
you'll share a snippet of it on your blog in the near future, right?
I did sometimes that with my first book, but I don't know for sure if I do that now. So I only try to concentrate me on writing a new manuscript, and I
Mm-hmm.
will see. And when it is ready, then I try to promote it again. And I hope I find a good publisher, but I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's good that I'm busy. It's good for my self employment. I learn a lot about the history and a
Yep.
lot about writing, because when you write, you learn to write better. So it's
Yep.
an always a new involvement of experience of growing. So thank you, Ethan, to be with you there to talk about to talk about the problems, and still I hope that we have a peaceful 2026 and happy, healthy, and let love rules.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, Peter, and we'll talk soon. Peace on earth, everybody. Thanks for checking
Okay.
this out. Here we go. Did it end?